Hey guys, welcome to Trading Demand. It's Braden, and today I am going to make a video. It's going to be a little longer, but it's going to be very informative, and it's going to go about everything I do with my trading and why I think you guys should maybe think about learning about it. I've recorded this about 3 times, and each time I recorded it, it crashed, and I had to redo it all. So I hope this time's good, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments and let me know how you feel. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Alright, to get us started, we're going to start with volume profile, aka volume by price. You can get this on here by hitting V a couple times and you'll find volume by price. This little handy thing is beautiful because it works just like your volume you would have down here. But this just goes by how price is moving and how price is getting auctioned. For mine, I have it set to, let me show you guys, dominant bid or ask full color. This is because I like to just see where we have buyers and where we have sellers on the profile itself. It can be distracting if you're not used to it, but to me it helps out a ton. I like to have mine on 68% volume. Where's it at? There it is. Value area percentage. That's this. I'll get to this in a little bit. Here it is. 1 tick per volume bar. Other noteworthy things. I have mine from session start to time end. Build volume bars, volume profiles. And besides that, I like to have mine on the right also. But besides that, it's very simple, very easy to set up. And next we can move on to value area. Alrighty, the second thing we're gonna go over with is value area. This is very useful and it correlates with auction market theory. You can think of value area as the middle of a bell curve, where 68% of the trading that's happened in the session has happened in the value area. You can't find it on here itself on any of their things, any of their studies. So you have to kind of get custom with it and make a volume profile. You have to make it so it shows the highlight value area high and low. You want to make sure it shows everything. And to have it so it sticks out like how I have it, I have my subgraph here, value area and outlines, to white. And then on here, I set my volume bar minimum width and chart. If you set it to like a 2, you can see it jumps down a lot. 20 is the highest it will go. And this lets you have it so a nice clean edge. And I wish it would go farther, but this is as far as it goes. It's not really anything crazy. It's just very easy setup. And it makes it so I can easily detect when we're in value and when we come out of value. Besides that, there's not really much to talk about it, so we'll move on to the next one. Alrighty, third thing on our list is delta by price. Delta is the relationship of buyers and sellers. You can either have it on your subgraph down here, like I have it, but you can also have it in a volume profile format. For me, I like to have it just so I can see where we have a lot of buying and a lot of selling at major points, either in supply or demand. Sorry about that. This was a supply area that has been deleted because it got invalidated. But you can see when we come back here, we broke above, not much buying, and we came lower. This could either be shorts covering, so they have to buy back their position, or it could be buyers trying to get into a position, trying to buy and get higher. So for this, we have 2,782 delta, and the second number is the full total volume. If we jump into here, go to delta by price. This also is not on here. Oops, let me get out of the way for you guys. It's not on a study. You have to make it yourself, which is very easy. The main thing you want to do is have the ask volume versus the bid volume. That's the buys versus sells. And you don't have to have total volume, but I like to. I like to have mine at 800 or higher for the text labels that you guys can see. because anything under that I feel like is not really important and it is more clutter to the screen. I don't know what that was. Besides that, I like to have mine at 3 ticks per volume bar just to make it cleaner looking and it aggregates the numbers better. And to the right, of course. And yeah, oh, for the coloring method, I like to have it as a difference of the bid ask volume. So it just shows me that's basically, it takes the buyers and takes the sellers minus the buyers, and that gets you delta. And that gets you the colors, red and green for us, buyers and sellers. Besides that, there's not much to it. So we can move on to our next thing. So for our fourth thing, it's actually 2 different things that I use. The first one is called Cumulative
Delta.
And this lets me just see easily the comparison between, it's easier to see, it's better to see it on a candlestick type chart, but for me I like to use this volume profile system. But it lets me see where we have buying, and I can look right down here to see the correlating number, and if they do not line up or if there's a divergence at all, then I know it's not how it should be. I can't really find any at the moment on the chart, so you gotta take my word for it. You can go find this by just typing in, hit C a couple times. Oh, it's not working, but it'll take you right here to the delta. You're gonna want the delta bars. And for the second one I have, it's called number bars calculated. For this one, I have mine range 3 up to green, range 3 down to red. Everything in the middle can be black or gray, depending how you like it. And you would think you want to use the positive delta sum and the negative delta sum, but I tried using this, and I'll show you guys. The negative delta sum never shows any negatives on the chart, or on the subgraph, I'm sorry. So it's not very useful for the coloring, how it's easy to look at. So we have to use the maximum ask volume, bid volume difference, that's basically delta, and the minimum ask volume bid difference, same thing as delta. And I like to have these right colored red, that's selling, buying, and same thing for here. And it's based on plus minus. Besides that, this is very useful to me just to see what are we doing and how price is reacting. So we can go right here. You can see we had a ton of buying right here, but price did not react. It didn't go as high as you would think it would with a ton of buying. That means sellers are still active here in value, and we're just not gonna go up because there's never more sellers than buyers, but there's more aggressive sellers than there is buyers. And those ones, they just get eaten up, and then they're done. They're kind of under the water if it gets under that point where they bought in. But that goes more into detail, and we will talk about that later. For anything else, I didn't touch the delta bars. I didn't touch anything, change anything, so it's just normal. But I showed you guys this. I think that's everything. So we'll jump on to the fifth thing. For the fifth thing on our list is Renko bars. The reason I like to use Renko is because it does not focus on time at all. It just focuses on how prices moved, and it lets me see inside the candle in a way, if you think of it like that. And that's very powerful for me. It also lets me see my delta down here, very useful, very easily. And I'll show you guys how I done this. So hit F5, it'll bring up your settings. I have mine on Renko bars in a 5-tick setting with wicks. And on here, for the settings I have, make it look like this, it's called number bars. You can find that on here, right here. And just hit setting. And for me, I have mine on volume profile. You can have it on any of these other ones. And I have it based on the ask bid volume percentage. with no coloring method right here. We can go down, and for me personally, I like to have my point of control, so the highest point on the candle that was traded at in this yellow circle, square I mean, sorry. And I also like to have my close and opens marked on the candles itself. You can see by the green triangle on the blue yellow triangles here. And besides that, there's a lot more to this that's going to take too long to talk about in one little video, one little section. So I might make another video on this if requested, but I'll just talk about how I use it. So on here, the best way to use it I have found is whenever you come into a zone, a supply zone or demand zone, you can see that we have buyers up here that get trapped. And when they're up here trapped and you see a bunch of selling, like this candle right here, we have buying up here and we have major selling right on the delta by price. And we're still in value, so I wouldn't trade this, but just give an idea. The trap buyers get up here and sellers push it down. And when the buyers are trapped, they have to cover their position by selling, and that just fuels it to the downside. You can see we have the big selling here on the subgraph, and that's really just how I use it. I also use a footprint type chart right here. This one is very useful. I like to look at it on the 1 minute to find unfinished tops and bottoms. Not sure I'll be able to find any today because it's been a very sideways market, very auctioning back and forth in value. Yeah, I can't find any. But what you would want to see for the unfinished tops and bottoms is a bunch of like zeros going up like a tail. It's like a tail of zeros, and that can let you see what unfinished business is, or where it got rejected very fast and not much action happened there. Besides that, yeah, I like to keep it on here though on the 5 tick setting, and I have my control bar set up so it just makes it easy to switch between these, because I like to look at each of them throughout the day. Besides that, that's basically everything for my candles and my Renko bars. Alright, for the last thing we're going to talk about on this chart itself, because I have another chart I will show you guys, is how volume profile and all this come together. For me, I basically trade just off of the theory. It's called the auction market theory. And the theory is that price will always want to return to value. If it gets too expensive or too cheap, it's going to become more desirable to whoever's trying to buy or sell. And when we're too extended to the upside or too extended to the bottom, we will have these low volume areas. As you can see on the edge of volume profile, it's low volume compared to here. And down here we also have low volume. This is just because how the day goes is where the most volume has been traded. And when we got very extended to the upside, we're out of value. No one wants to buy all the way up here. So selling will incur and we'll come back down to value where we have been sitting for the whole day. I do not like to usually trade in the value area because that will lead to just getting chopped up, and this is where most price will consolidate and sit because buyers and sellers are both happy to have price here. Besides that, I also like to use DOM, the depth of market, and time in sales right here. These let me easily see where we have big buys or sells coming in. This one's very simplified because all it does is say ask trade or bid trade. It doesn't show anything else. It's very simple. If you've seen a normal time in sales, this is not the same. And here we have the buyers on this side, selling on this side, and we have this when orders get pulled or stacked. That's a lot more I can go into eventually in a different video, but for now, that's just here, and here. This whole thing here is the bid volume. You can reset it whenever. That's just what's been traded throughout the whole day, right beside each other. Kind of like a volume profile, but not exactly. And for these, you can check out Mind Over Markets. On the very last episode, Leo, he goes by Leo the Tiger on Twitter. He includes a link into a Google Drive where you can find both of these. Very generous of him. If you guys want to give him a follow on Twitter, very useful man. And he shares these from the very last episode. You can go find it. They'll talk about it, and they'll talk about each part of what it is. Very useful. I love that podcast so much. But yeah, I like to use these just to see where we have, if it's the bid side or the ask side is heavier, and I also like to see where we have the orders at the exact moment where we're trading and what we are doing. There's a lot more you can go into trading with the DOM or depth market that I'm not gonna go over in this episode or this video. So yeah, that's basically everything. Next we'll move on to my second chart for my supply and demand and volume node tradings. Alright, and here we are, the second chart on my second screen. These, it might look complicated at first, everything I have, but all of it is very simple. This one here is a yearly profile, set a year, and this one is a daily. It shows a daily for each one, and this will be the first one we start at. Make it bigger for you guys to look at. And for me, how I use this, I will look at volume profile, and you can see that we have, let me move it for you guys. We have a low volume area. I put my little zone. These zones, each of them are 4 points. That's usually how big my stop is when I'm trading. And I also like to put a zone at the edge of profiles if they are sitting in supply and demand, which I'll show you in a little bit. But you can see right here, low volume, low volume, low volume, low volume. You just gotta look from the left to right. And this happens all the time. I did have an example to show you guys, but I accidentally deleted all my zones that they were getting used today, but they were invalidated. But I can make one for you guys right here. So we came in today. We'll just make a fly zone, fly zone. Of course, we got broken through. All right, that's our supply. And then I would grab this, copy and move, put it at the edge, and you can look, when we come into the zone, it's a low volume area. And how low volume areas work, I actually had mine here. Nope, yeah, I had it here. And how low volume nodes work, price is either accepted or it is rejected. And in this point, it was rejected. Make that the right color. The zone did get broken through today, but the low volume area did not. This whole area is low volume. And I like to play these because it's priced by itself. It is where buyers and sellers are interested. They are not interested in this low volume area. They want to either get priced through the area fast or get away from it and back to wherever they want to go. Back to value in this instance. So, very easy to set up, very easy to use. I can make a whole nother video on this if you guys would like. But yeah, it's just simple. You just come look at your profile. I do not like to put my profile, my low volume areas on the value area because this area is showing itself to not be very reliable, not be very extended at all. There's nowhere extended here. There's nowhere that price needs to come back to. Price is already here. One thing that I do have that I would love to happen is when these point of controls here, when they get abandoned in a way, they're called virgin point of controls, naked point of controls, whatever you want to call it. But price they usually will want to come back, and they'll want to come back and touch the virgin point of control. In the market we are in now, this most likely will not happen because we had value shift So when we open out of, like how we have it here, price is opening in value, or price is opening all in the same area. It's ranging at the moment. This was Saturday, Sunday. I'm not sure why it's showing it, but you know. Yeah, I don't know why it's showing it. But you can see the price shifted high up. That means value is moving higher, price is moving higher. Buyers are in control for the moment. So yeah, I'll make more videos about all this eventually. Just simple techniques I use. But for this, version point of control is all you need to remember. And I can actually show you guys an example that I forgot about. So on this day, you see we have a low volume area where price has already reacted. It's also the edge of volume on Friday. So we had low volume, look from left to right, low volume, look at that. Price came back to it and rejected it right back into value. And there's a thing set, it's 80% chance that it will either, if it breaks out of value to the downside or upside, there's an 80% chance it's going to go and retest the other side of profile. Just like it did. It came down through value and tested the other side of profile. Very simple. This is all based on how I trade the auction market theory. I'll add a little picture right here for you guys. And the auction market theory is very useful because prices always want to return to value. That's just how it is. That's just how the auction works. If you're in a bidding opportunity where you have buyers and sellers, you just have buyers, and price gets too expensive, people are gonna start backing out. No one's gonna want to play in that, and it's gonna get too high. So that means price has to come back down. Just like just like how any supermarket works, if there's too much supply and not enough demand, they gotta lower their prices. Too much demand and not enough supply, they gotta raise their prices. So, very simple concept. I will teach in the future. Maybe make it all free so you guys can learn. I think everyone should know how the market works and how to trade it. But yeah, that's that chart. For my next chart, I'm gonna show you guys. It will be the supply and demand chart. Alright, next will be my supply and demand chart. Supply and demand has been a key aspect of my trading for a very long time now. Alright, just getting comfortable. And I just love it. It lets me easily see where we have buyers and sellers and where we are all positioned. So I'll just start off by showing you guys a zone and how I find them exactly. So we'll let it load. Takes a little bit sometimes. Zoom it in. Hide our studies. So you can see, we'll come down here. I'll just delete all this. You see we have a rally, a basing area, another rally, and another basing. Usually this won't happen like this so smoothly, but here it is. So what I will be paying attention to is not this one, because I see there's a bunch of selling and I'm not too interested in it because I'm looking for a demand zone. But you can see we did come back and we did touch this zone. What I'm more interested in will be this one, and if anything, I will come down and I'll extend it to that low. And this one hasn't been touched as of today, but we did have one that was holding up. This for demand. For supply, we had this one here that I talked about earlier. This one was holding up really good for a while, and for the start of the morning, it kind of pushed us down, but it did eventually get broken. Let's make this the right color. And to pair this with my low volume nodes, it's so useful because we have a bunch of sellers up here that weren't filled. You can see we came up here and we came down very fast. There were not enough time for them to get filled, or they were expecting to maybe come back up here and get filled again so we can have a double top or whatever they're expecting and push lower. And these can be found on any time frame. This is just a 3-hour where I saw the most today. And we even have demand here. It did get broken through very easily, but you can see that there are still orders sitting here and people still interested in this area. As you can see, we had buying all right here. This can always change and is not set in stone. But you can easily see we had up here, we were coming down. We finally had a place where we were able to settle. Let's go to 6-hour. I'll show you guys. Once it loads, all right, you can see this one's way more beautiful, way cleaner. All right, so we come up, we're rallying, we hit low volume node, and in this low volume node, we are having a basing area. You want to see for supply like this, a rally base drop. You want to see it to be very small basing, very decisive on the drop, very easily to see. We were able to push up so high and not be able to hold it. And then when we came down, there's also demand here, a drop base rally. This eventually did get broken through. These zones are something else I can show you guys eventually. I just haven't got to I can show you guys actually right now. It's another strategy using volume profile. But for supply and demand, you can see we can go here 45 minutes. It can be shown on any time frame. They're very easy to find, but they're very useful. Right here, we rallied base, and the drop was not very decisive. You can see they're still buying, but it held up many times. And this little volume area was actually all the way over here. Do that. It didn't get hit. So we have a lot of supply forming, and when supply gets formed off of old supply, that tells me that sellers are trying to push it down more and more. Price keeps moving down, value keeps moving down, and we came up here, touched this. A lot of orders could not get filled, and sellers made a supply zone. And we came down, came back up and touched it. Then we rejected. Very clean, very nice to see. Even happened here. This one though is on hourly. You can see that it's not very clean on 30-minute, but if you combine these candles into an hour, we rallied. The basing isn't too big, but it's still on a key supply area. I mean a key level. Sorry, not a key level. We've rejected the same area multiple times. So that would be that would justify me marking it. And from the supply zone, we just fell. And here we are again. Another supply zone. We did not actually come up and touch it, but we did come up here and we hit it and rejected. Very beautiful. I love it so much. I will make another video about it in the future, like all this other things. This is just show you guys what I'm up to. And for the second strategy I use with volume profile, this one is just for supply and demand. I have that, I don't look at it. We can unhide, go here. This one is the same as this, but this one lets me see on a weekly basis. And on the weekly basis, I will be looking for areas. Move this down, easiest way to do it. Areas where price has tapered off on the profile, where it has tapered off, and when it's tapered off, that means it's same as the other low volume nodes. Price is either going to get rejected or accepted. It's just a bigger low volume node on a bigger time frame. We can go on the lower time frames, and you'll find this one right here. That easy, and it only forms every week, so you can't use this all the time, this technique, but you can use it to get an idea of what's happening. Like here, we can move this one. That's the wrong one. Sorry about that. We can move this right here. We haven't came up and touched it yet, but this area will be it would be a key area for me to look at, since it was not it was not the point of control or in value of the whole week. If we reject this area, it'll keep us in a ranging type market. If we accept it, we'll just go higher and we'll push through these supply zones probably, most likely. But yeah, that's just a little one. I'll go over all this in a future video. But that is basically everything for my little technique for supply and demand. Alright, for my last chart, it will be my depth of it will be my market depth historical. And for this, to get this access to all this, you will need Sierra Chart Package 5. But if you want to get your data through Sierra Charts with the Denali data, you will need Sierra Chart Package 11. I'll put a picture here showing all that. But what this does is let me see, it's same as level 2, if you ever use level 2. Oh, it's gonna take forever. It's the same as level 2, where it will show where buyers and sellers have their orders placed, and depending on the intensity of the color, it will highlight it differently and highlight the different sizes. I like to have it running in a smaller chart down here, just out of the way, so I don't really gotta pay attention to it much. Because if you look at it too long, you might get lost and you might not be able to pay attention to the bigger picture. But I can show you guys what I have. For the Sierra chart version that comes with it, the preset, it's kind of ugly looking in my opinion, and it's there's not much to it. For me personally, I like to have mine, these are the colors, I like to see anything from 150 to 600, maybe higher, but the lowest I want to see is 40. Usually 80, but 40 will do just fine. The percentage volume intensity, you can change this depending on what you want to see. The lower numbers would be brighter, or higher numbers would be brighter, lower numbers would be darker, depending on how you have it set. For this one, I do not have the numbers, the text in the profile, but for my other chart, I do. I have set to 300 and higher. I'll show you guys that after this. But yeah, that's basically how that works. It's very useful if you just want to see how the market's moving. I have more of an idea of where we've been and where price has been accepted, or where price is more, where the orders have been placed. That's my big thing with it. It's not a main part of my trading at all. It's just something I like to look at. And for the last part of this video, I'm gonna jump to my other chart, and I'm gonna show you guys the same thing on here, but how I use it on my main chart. Alright, and to end everything, we're gonna go where we started. Like I was saying, I'm gonna show you guys this part. I use a lot in my trading. I use so much. It lets me easily see where liquidity has been added or taken away. And just with this itself is a very big factor of my trading. As you can see here, I have mine set, so right here, my colors, I have mine set, so I don't want to see anything under 300. Anything under 300 is not very, it's just not something I want to see on my main chart. You could do 200, which would add more liquidity areas for you to see. Maybe it might help you, maybe it will. To me, it's just noise. The font size I use is 5, all bars, and that's really all for that. The bigger thing is how it's used. So you can see, we came from here, and from the point of control of this candle, we had liquidity come out. We had sellers having limits here, sitting, waiting for price to possibly come back up and touch it. And for this, they came up and touched it. I'm not sure what they were expecting. I'm still learning myself on how to use it, on how to take in the information that's coming. But you can see when we came out back to it, they immediately pulled their order. So either they were here loading up, trying to get another entry on this for a double top in value, and it eventually did work out, came down. And then we had some buyers here. It's just, it lets you easily see everything. I'm not the professional in this. This is just everything that I know, that I've gained through my couple years of trading. I won't act like I know everything, but yeah, I'm still learning myself. But when they have liquidity up here and liquidity down here, we're most likely going to be bouncing, either going to reach one of them eventually. This one, they got pulled, so either they were coming down and they were trying to attract prices here, or spoof it and price moved up higher. If anything I say is wrong or not the right way of saying it, please let me know in the comments or message me on Discord. But yeah, that's basically how I do everything. It's very simple. I trade using auction market theory, volume profile, supply and demand, and yeah, that's really everything. Delta, the buyers and sellers, the relationship of them. Most important thing after volume profile. Just so great. And I hope you guys can learn something from this. And I'll make more videos explaining everything. I know I've been out of a hiatus from YouTube. That's just because I've been very busy doing this and everything else. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.